Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Can walking a spiritual path bring you from hopelessness to empowerment? And what is a spiritual path? And how is it healing for you? And how do you know if you're walking your own spiritual path? Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I am your host, Nancy Smith. Joining me is medium Vicki Snyder-Young. In this episode, we're going to talk about healing aspects of walking a spiritual path. You may have a few spiritual tools in your toolbox, but are you walking a spiritual path that is empowering you? What is your spiritual path, and are you able to embrace it in your world? So if you need some help on that, listen up. Vickie Snyder-Young is from Rochester, New York. She's a gifted psychic medium, a shamanic healer, a life coach, a hypno-regressionist. I'm assuming it's past lives. Maybe it's a lot of things. Who has been professionally serving clients for over 10 years after leaving the corporate world. She's authored 3 books, and her spiritual journey began at the Plymouth Spiritualist Church, the mother of the Church of Spiritualism. She was raised Catholic, and she was taught to fear death, but once walking into the Spiritualist Church, she just felt like she was coming home because she'd already heard spirit talking to her over and over again, which isn't quite allowed in the Catholic Church. With angels, opened her up to the spiritual world. So she has a shamanic background, and she's also a pet communicator. Lots of things to talk about. Mostly tonight, we're going to talk about how a spiritual path supports us in our work as spiritualists and healers. However, it helps everyone. We want to break that down. Everyone needs to have a spiritual path. It's not a religious path. So let's talk about that, Vicki, a little bit.
Yeah, definitely not a religious path. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Everyone has their own path, whether it's religion or just spiritualism or spirituality. Basically, it is healing. The spiritual path to me, and I'm sure it means a lot of different things to other people, is just, it's a healing path. So working your way kind of like shamanically around the medicine wheel, or walking the red road, and those types of terms, is living in a way that you're healing by releasing those things that aren't serving you, letting go of stories and attachments, all those things that are bringing you just closer to oneness with the divine. And that is what a spiritual path is to me. And I'm sure there's maybe means something different to you, but for me, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's what it means. But also, for me, what it means, and this is always a mystery to me, is walking those natural laws. You said releasing the stories and everything, so that you could walk with the flow and the energy of God or the Creator or whatever. And I'm like, what is that? What is that when you're walking in the flow of the energy? So because we lose sight on why we're releasing all this stuff and why we're trying to get on top of it. And it's so that we can feel that flow of our soul, feel that flow of the Creator. So what is that for you, walking in the flow of the Creator?
Oh, wow. It's changed a lot since 10 years ago. So to me, that is just in nature, being out in nature and seeing the beauty and how the Creator, God, talks to us through nature. And my firm belief is that we're all one. So that blade of grass, that bird, that tree, we're all one. We all come from the Creator, and we're all one. So if you're doing harmful things to yourself, you're doing it to those other things as well, and you're affecting your environment. So it's really important to walk that path, because it ripples out. Everything's a ripple. And if we're holding on to, I'm going to say, kind of more negative type emotions, it affects everything. It affects Mother Earth, and it really does. So through healing and like walking that path, walking the medicine wheel, going around the medicine wheel, we're letting go of those lower vibrations, feelings. So you get to the point where you look back and like the person that cut you off in traffic, you didn't get upset, where at a more physical level, you're dealing with rage, anger, all those things that bother you. So the more we can be in the light and not having those responses because of our own stories that we tell ourselves, the more that we can be healing ourselves. It's just a huge relief not to have those attachments to always being right or not under to always always having to be right is what I just heard. So definitely understanding other people, having compassion for others, no matter what they're going through. Everyone has their own path.
Well, they do. Everyone has their own individual path. It's so, so true. And I see people trying to fit themselves into somebody else's path because they don't believe that they have the connection or the answers. And then I also see people saying, you got to come into my path and do it my way because you don't know anything. But so let's drill down a little bit deeper into the healing aspect of walking a spiritual path. Because you were talking about the releasement, the belief systems, kind of thing. So, but all that seems for somebody who's disconnected could seem disappointed. So the healing aspects of knowing yourself, connecting with God, connecting with nature, where would you start with somebody who's brand new to this?
Brand new. Really working on mindset, I think, is important, and connection. It's not all about us, it's about having that connection so that we can follow our own guidance that we're getting either from our higher self or from spirit guides, angels, loved ones who've passed will give us guidance as well. So we're able to get that guidance easier if we let go of all the attachments in our stories and just through meditation or doing meditation. It's so funny I bring that up, and doesn't have to be like just sitting in Om position. You can go out for a walk, you can exercise, you can sit and watch a candle flame, you can listen to music. Those can, as long as you're getting into that zone, and you're open to the guidance that's coming, to go into it with an intention.
So if you are going into that zone, what are the steps you would tell somebody to take to get into that zone? You were just breathing, or you don't have to get on the Om pad, or sometimes I talk to people about being heavily creative or highly creative going into what would you
would I
guide, or what is your favorite way to get into the zone?
Breathing, music, drumming, that rhythm of the drum just really will do that. But when I was new to all of this, and I struggled a lot with the meditation, and it just practice and time, and short amounts. You don't have to do it for a half hour, couple minutes, and I always like to let people know, like before you go to bed or when you're waking up, to spend just a few minutes trying to connect, and then you just build upon that. Right. Smaller doses equals success, and then you can just keep building on that. But I find that people try to sit down and want the perfect environment, the perfect setting, and everything perfect, and then their mind goes nuts, so, and they can't stop it. So just little doses to begin with, and that's really huge, because you want to build that trust by getting, going in with, hey, what should I, having a question and intention, too. I think a lot of intention work is very healing. Then you have a basis to build upon.
When somebody asks me what is a spiritual path, my go-to answer is when you realize you're not the only one on the planet. And when you realize actually that there are spiritual beings, that you are a spiritual being in a human form, and that there are spiritual beings around you that are trying to help you. And that's the first step in knowing
Yeah.
that that's a spiritual path. And so what is your stepping into a spiritual path defining? How do you define that?
Stepping into it is usually I find that people are getting those nudges and they're like, someone's trying to give me a message. I know something, and they're being nudged by spirit to step into that path. They're feeling like, I have a bigger purpose in life. And what is it? That's a huge one.
Yeah.
And that helps you to step into that path, to know that there's more than just maybe what you're doing. More soul importance. Not that, your daily job isn't important, but maybe there's something more on a soul level that is important and part of your life purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm right there with you on there. And when I just want to reiterate that a spiritual path is not a religious path. A religious path has rules and regulations, has dogmas or principles to follow that are all can be very thoughtful. They can teach you a lot, but your spirit, your soul is where you want that connection to source, and nothing comes between it. And so the religions can bring you learning and growth, but if they don't bring you that awareness of yourself, can a religion not be a spiritual path, do you suppose?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It depends on if you're growing from it. Are you just going because it's a duty, which again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that either, but are you growing? It's really about growth.
Are you growing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it is.
learning from it. Are you being of service? I feel life is so important to be of service, and defining what that service is for you. It's all individual. For me, spirit works through me to give mediumship messages. And I find that spirit works through other people to give messages as well, just out in the world working, that maybe might not find me to get a message, but maybe in an office setting, there's someone that is getting messages and is touching the lives of someone else and igniting that spark.
Yeah.
It's
I
all
think
about igniting a spark too.
yeah, that spark. Bringing that spark into the world is basically a service, is being of service. Sometimes
Yes.
people, when I work on the Akashic Records and they talk about being of service, and it can be a little bit wrapped up in being a servant, or being in, they ask you to do something, so you're of service and you give them, they give to them and to meet their needs. It's like, no, that's not necessarily being of service. What's being of service is, let's define that. What is being of service? Because I being Catholic, I mess it up all the time. I was raised 9 kids. I had to do the dishes and laundry and make sure everyone was fed. And I always thought that was being of service, but then it stopped me from going to college. It stopped me, from getting A's and B's in school. I got C's and D's because I was taking care of the younger siblings. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really still to this day struggle between being of service and serving.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm the only one. I'm a woman and I'm in this world. And so let's talk about on a spirit, what it is.
That to me is more about being nurturing and a caregiver,
Yeah.
than, it is being of service, but it's more, feels more like nurturing and caregiving. Being of service is, I guess it is, but it isn't, if that makes sense. To me, being of service is helping your fellow man, helping, the planet, helping by you keeping your vibration high, your light bright.
Yeah.
It spills out into the world for others. So a lot of times we call that being a light worker. And so many people are light workers and are here to do that, to try to brighten the world and by being of service. And everyone's definition of what their service is going to be different.
Individual to them and where they're talking to their own soul. So I know who, well, then this goes back to the days of the Carmelites and the cloistered nuns, who they're just praying for people. And I know people who they're not nuns and they're not cloistered, but they're they know that prayer makes a difference. So they
Yep.
are service
They're
to
of service. Yeah.
praying, continuous prayer. There's a lot of Native American history around how they had medicine wheels, medicine circles for the well-being of the planet. And I remember years and years the story that this one particular group was disbanding as the caretakers, particularly in North America, because there were other caretakers that needed to come forward that were not Native American. And they said, but if we keep doing this, we need we need to open the road for other people to come in. As I thought that was fascinating, just fascinating. Then I got real worried because they weren't doing the medicine circle for North America anymore. What's going to happen? But but we all are called into the medicine circle, and so being of service, just to say a prayer or being part of that light that you talk about,
Yeah.
just being aware of the vibration,
Right.
is
Smiling at someone in line, saying hello, opening a door for someone. Those are all could be of service. That could be your calling, is just to, so many people out there in the world don't have someone that's nice to them, that will smile at them, or open a door, hold a door for them. So I think that is so important, because again, it all ripples out. Everything is rippling. You're putting that positive energy out there, and it's rippling out, because then that person that maybe you smiled at goes and smiles to someone else, and it just builds.
There's a law of vibration. It's one of the metaphysical laws, and that everything vibrates. And the aspect of vibration is that the vibrations want to harmonize with each other, and they harmonize to the highest vibration in its vicinity. So if we're the highest vibration, just think about it. If you're the highest vibration, how high are you vibrating? But if we're as light workers, as you call it, working with that vibration and walking on the planet, where sometimes the nature can bring our vibration higher, because maybe nature's vibration is higher than us, but then we step post office, for instance, with this higher vibration, and everyone, you just can see it kind of going out. People are smiling a little bit more, or somebody who is in despair but can't speak it. It's visible. Right. They're touched, and they can go home and they're feeling, we were talking about that hope, from hopelessness to empowerment. Maybe they're going to go home and they're not quite so hopeless, and you didn't even know,
right. And what's coming to me right now too is that sometimes our light isn't as bright as it always is. So maybe someone else will help us if we're feeling a little bit, as light workers, we too can feel hopeless and whatnot. But I feel with our tools, we're able to maybe snap out of it easier, quicker. We're just able to deal with it a little bit differently, because of our training and whatnot. But we still get like that too. So it's not like we're like, woo, we're always happy and, shining bright. We go through things too, and just like everyone else. And that makes us all human. So we have to be that light for others, just like sometimes we'll need to be that light.
Somebody will when we see the light, or just hanging around. Remember to hang around people who are bringing you up.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, I want to. There's so much more than talking about service, but I have this image of sometimes people feel that by being good, this is a little kid talking here, if I'm good for dad, if I'm good for my boss, if I'm good for this person, and I cross my T's and dot my I's, that should be it. That should be okay. And then we find out it's not okay. That is not where your soul wants you to go. And all of the rules that you've followed aren't going to hold water in your life anymore. And that is shocking. And that you thought you were doing the right thing and and doing the right thing, you're in service of a certain way. And I have to say that sometimes the spiritual path will, as we're listening to our souls and listening vibration around it, we're realizing, what am I doing here? This has nothing to do with life. And the spiritual path can be shocking. It can bring you to awakening, to say, I can't do this anymore. I can't. And that is feels counterintuitive, and it feels kind of destructive sometimes. But a spiritual path can take you on that when
Mhm.
you're true to yourself. You were talked about offline. We were talking about the authentic self
Yes.
and bringing the authentic self, and that having that spirit connection to your own spirit. And let's talk about what that is to be the real person of who you really are.
Oh, geez. um, that's so a tough one, because what does that mean? It means something different for everyone.
Yeah.
So to me, it's kind of like, who do you envision yourself being, and then walking that talk.
Mhm.
So as an example, um, like I'm trained in Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and there's some Reiki principles, and you know, I try to live by those principles. And so I'm walking my talk. I'm living authentically. I'm working in the with Reiki with that energy, and I'm also trying to live it. So that to me is authentic, but it could mean a lot of different things. If you're going to a church, and authentically would be following, like the Catholic Church, going to mass and communion and all of that. And that would be authentic if that's your belief system. So it's all kind of varies with your belief system.
And sometimes your belief system comes unglued.
Mm-hmm.
That
Definitely.
and being in the present moment and who you thought you were changes, you're still
Yep.
your own self, because in my mind, you're still in the present moment of being whatever's coming up in your heart,
Yes.
being true to that.
Right.
And
Yes. Exactly.
that's kind of, and I feel, to me, knowing that I'm a spirit having a human experience, knowing that there is a higher power that is interested in me, and my soul and my
Yeah.
guardian angel, helps me. And I love for other people to kind of experience that, or just let us know, uh, does that help you? Because it helps me when my life has come unglued a few times, where I thought I was doing the right thing and all that stuff, and I realized I was absolutely doing the wrong thing, eh, unbeknownst to me. But I had some learning and growing to do, and went, whoa, it was shocking. And
Yeah.
it was that spiritual fuel that I was running on gas. I was running on empty tank at that point, but I was reaching out to a higher power to say, get me through this.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me this. And I see people going through, health problems, or divorce problems, or financial, or they've lost their careers. And those are kind of like soul redirects. It's not that you're being punished or anything, but it's like,
Yeah.
I got to dig deep within myself. And how do I support that digging deep in myself without burning out, or without, well, sometimes we have to burn out. I don't know. Maybe we have to burn out to find, before we can find the truth. I say that could be true. But
Yeah.
the point of getting back on our feet is knowing that, what, practicing gratitude, reaching the spirit, talking to the trees.
I think it could be anything. It's what you're being called to, where you're being led. What is coming up for you in life at that moment that is offering you, um, to feel more yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it all varies, and it's going to be different every time you go through one of these kind of, what did you call it? I call it like a repurposing.
Yeah,
You
soul redirect. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
soul redirect. Yeah, I like that.
yeah,
And hopefully you'll be lucky that you do have those, because if you're just the same, it's kind of can be a little boring, stagnant. But if you have those times where you kind of fall off the path in your life, you're like, wait a minute, what happened? Um, just knowing that it's leading to something different and better, because I firmly believe angels, um, the creator, God, they all know more of what's in our best interest
right.
than we do. And sometimes they have to knock us down so we can like be that phoenix and rise.
Well,
Um,
yeah, we're here to learn and grow, and the learning and growing can be painful,
Definitely.
and there's risks. That reminds me of the being Catholic, the story about the five talents, or the five talents. that in the Bible, that story where the Lord, wherever it is, who the owner of the land gives his 5 best servants, here we go with servants again, a bunch of money, talents, they call them.
Okay.
He's going to go away. He goes, keep my money safe, but have it grow, do something with it. And
Mhm.
guy goes off and does, I don't know, marketing, or he goes off and he does trading and stuff, buys silk and sells it. The other one goes off and he buys seed and he grows it. And another guy goes off and builds buildings and sells them, whatever. But this one other, the last fellow, and they always talk about men, it could have been a woman, but found a box, put the money in the box and buried it in the backyard so it would never get lost. Nobody would ever steal it. And when the guy came back, the master or the lord or whatever came back, and he was thrilled with what everybody did except for the last one. He says, well, why did you bury your gifts? Why didn't you grow them? And it's so scary to take that risk when we realize I have to stretch here. I have to try this. I have to go ahead and try and feel this. And I feel our faith in ourselves or our spiritual path or whatever it is we do to boost ourselves up through spiritual cheerleading to keep moving.
Yeah.
If we don't grow and learn, and I know people who won't leave their little corner of the world, they just won't.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you could tease them out, or you could ask them, or you could try to inspire them. But if they're not going to walk out of the corner that they feel so safe in, it's up to them.
Yes, exactly.
And it's up to you to do that. And
right. And not everyone, I feel like not everyone is necessarily meant to walk out of that corner either. Maybe that's what they agreed upon when they came into this world, was to be where they're at, and that's fine too. Yeah, I just feel there's nothing wrong. You just where you're at is where you're at, and it's where you're meant to be at any time. So
yeah, there is that saying, it where you are is perfect, and who you are right now.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes when you start want to step into something, you feel something is bigger out there calling me. You start with where you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who you are, what you are, where you are, and you don't have to wait till you're turned into something else, or the tide turns or something comes forward. You just are where you are, and you take that next step.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to take a leap, but what really, like, the angels really helped me early on, because I didn't want to feel uncomfortable. I didn't want to do certain things that opportunities were coming to me that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. But it was knowing that those opportunities, the angels brought those opportunities were brought by spirit, by angels, whatever term you want to use, because they knew that I could do it. They're not going to want you to fail. They're going to bring you opportunities and things that they know you can do. And it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's okay, because you just say yes and you do it. And if you fail, but you're not going to fail, So, and then it just brings more opportunities. The more you say yes, and more opportunities come. That's really changed my life. Yeah.
Yeah, and just taking 2 steps out, that's the success right there.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
More steps, that's even more success. That's even better.
Right. Yeah.
And when we judge somebody else with a different measuring stick than they're judging themselves, it just gets it all messed up. But
no judgment. Yeah.
But people have to just feel where they are. I feel like just feeling where you are, knowing who you are, knowing that you're connected to something beyond yourself. Like I said, don't leave the corner, but know who you are.
Definitely. Yeah.
Is huge. I feel that when we're in that hopeless place is when we anybody who's in a hopeless place to just kind of check in, or just say, what else is there? What
was coming to me when you were just saying that about the corner was fear. Like, are you in that corner because you're content, you're happy, or are you there because you're afraid? Now, if you're afraid, that's where there's so many people out there in the world that can help with that fear. So it is about asking for help too, and and partnering up with someone that can help you with that fear or stand by you as you step out of that corner. It doesn't have to be family or friends, but there's so many people in the world that have been in that same spot and can help.
Mhm. And conversely, if you see somebody who is stuck in fear and you know exactly what to do, don't be shy. I mean,
Right.
sometimes, there's I saw this little cartoon once, and it was this little animal was stuck in the bottom of a pit. And everyone said,
Mhm.
"Hello down there," and they're rolling sandwiches down, and so he could eat them. But finally, his best friend just took a rope, went down to the pit with him, and sat next to him, and said, "I
Yeah,
st- I love you."
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Changed everything. And
yeah,
then he got him to stand up. He got him to take the rope up and go up and give it a risk, give it another chance to enter into life.
yeah,
But
yeah,
most of it just was there. It's Eeyore too, Winnie the Pooh
yeah.
and Bill Piglet went to visit Eeyore, and Eeyore says, "I'm just having a bad day. I think I'm good. May as well go now." And they said, "No, we'll just hang out and have a bad day with you. It's okay.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll feel better." To me, that was like, that's a spiritual path right
yeah,
there. They were looking at
definitely.
the thing.
Yeah.
They were just loving from their hearts, and Eeyore let them in. And
Hmm.
the act of trust and faith.
Yes,
These things that we talk about in spiritual paths, I think that they get really big in our minds. And
definitely.
it's simple. It's simple, guys, really simple.
Hmm.
But do you want to talk about when people have really powerful spiritual tools
Yeah.
but don't have consistent spiritual paths, and they can get themselves a little tied in knots? So let's talk about that for a second. A little controversial, but
I guess what do you have an example?
um, I would talk about, say a big spiritual leader and
Okay.
lots of followers, and
Uh-huh.
he or she says wonderful things that change people's lives, but their life has another side to it, which is dark.
Hmm.
And so there's a split in half. So I would have to say the spiritual path or the spiritual connection of is something went awry there. What do you suppose that is? And what would you advise people to take a look at in their own personal lives?
Well, I think we're all a combination of light and dark. So we definitely have shadow sides, dark sides, and light sides. So it is kind of accepting all of that. It's not bad. It's not necessarily bad, but how do we deal with it? And I keep hearing the word honesty. Are we being honest? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I think again we go back to fear. People I feel are afraid of being judged if they have show their dark side, or you
Right.
know, it's part of who we are. You can't, you know, there's both. So how do we deal with it is really the key, I feel.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, no, it is the key, dealing with both, being humble enough to see that
Hmm.
you got some good sides, you got some bad sides. And
Yeah,
what else was I thinking about? Um, you can't ignore the dark and just focus on the light. It's
right,
a holistic thing.
right.
So, the left hand has to know what the right hand is doing, and you're
Hmm.
accountable for what both sides of yourself.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that could be the most deepest healing that you're here to do.
right.
You're going to look at that other side that's not very pleasant or dark.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we need the dark. If it was light all the time, we would never get to sleep, and then it would be awful.
Yeah.
I mean, these elements are balancing each other. They're neutral. They're not
Yes,
good and
yes,
one is not bad.
yeah.
Well, but I just thought that bringing that up would be important, because we all know spiritual people who have these amazing spiritual tools, but then they have hiccups. And
Yeah, definitely, because
I
we're
have
human.
hiccups.
We're
Or I have, you or I have hiccups and say,
yeah,
well, I'm not a
yeah,
very good person for that, or I'm not I'm not this, or we judge ourselves for having the hiccups. And
Yes. Yeah,
say, no, you just pick yourself up and you keep moving on.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
with
You
awareness,
can't hold yourself to a, a different standard because we're all human and we're all learning and growing each day. So no, we're not perfect, so we do have those sides of ourselves that I feel we don't often of who we are, because we're supposed to be role models and stuff. We don't necessarily want to share those things, but we should because it's part of life. It's who we are, who everyone is.
or if we want to turn our spirituality over to somebody else who seems like they have a better program than we do,
Right.
the empowerment's gone. The spiritual path that
Exactly.
brings you from hopelessness to empowerment. If the
Uh-huh.
empowerment slips away, hold on, wait a minute. You're
Yeah,
you come back home to yourself.
definitely. And it can be very empowering to face those shadows, that shadow side, and just because it's got a hold on you, and by facing it and acknowledging it, admitting it, and it can be very healing.
Absolutely,
And then
absolutely.
you'll that shadow go away and then another one will pop up. So you're
It's
always in the process of healing something, or working on those stories, the shadows, and projections and attachments, all of those things.
yeah,
um
yeah. There's always going to be a dark side of the moon.
yeah.
It's part of life. But
Yeah.
then which kind of leads me into asking you about the shamanic work, the shamanic
Yeah.
and healing work that you do. You've done
Yes.
some pretty powerful studies and practices your own self. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely been very healing. I've taken, we call it going around the wheel, so medicine wheel, which is a healing path. So I've been around that twice, and I just finished, and it's all very, very healing. New things come up, and working on just releasing those, that weight that we carry. We carry so much weight, attachments and whatnot to different things. So just being able to be free of those is, um, it's just a feeling of freedom.
Well, so tell me about this medicine wheel. What you said you've been through it twice.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is been through
So
what? Where'd you start?
medicine, well,
Yeah.
we do healing practices in 4 directions. So like the South, we're dealing more with the physical, and we're releasing a lot of the physical issues, and shedding. We're shedding. You're doing a lot of releasing of those stories and whatnot. Then you like move to the West, and you're facing your shadow. And those 2 directions are really more on the physical level. And then when you go to the next 2 directions, it's more of a more spiritual healing. And that's where there's different practices that you do and you learn. Soul retrieval, we deal a lot with any kind of trauma. You can have some soul loss, so bringing the soul back and healing, that's very healing. A lot of people have a lot of soul loss, and by bringing that back, they can feel more whole. So it's very helpful to have all of you and not just have parts out and wherever. um, and it's all working towards becoming more, you work towards the East where it's becoming one with spirit, and you just don't have all of those, like I said, those human feelings of like annoyances, and you just kind of let go of a lot of that, those judgments, the no judgment, really letting go of judgments, judging others, judging yourself. So there's all these things that you kind of work on through going through that journey around the wheel. Very
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
And then if you're learning it, you can do it for yourself, and you can also learn it to learn the techniques to help others, which is what I've done.
So how did you learn it with a group of people, or did you do it by
Yes.
yourself?
Nope. I went through the Four Winds Society with Alberto Villoldo. And that was a wonderful, wonderful group, people all over the world. And recently it was a smaller group with people all over the world as well. So,
That's
and
beautiful.
yes, and the last one I just finished, it was it was almost a year long. It's more of a, like an I can't get the right word, but, lost my thought too. But it is, yeah. Spirit's trying to tell me something else. Very healing, very healing. Oh, that was more of a bridge. She brought in, Native American and like, Peruvian style of
Oh, yeah.
shamanism. So
Okay.
that's nice.
That's very nice.
In fact, I've trained in that as well. Some Native American and yeah, different techniques. So
Very cool. I want to take just a real quick break here before we
yeah,
say this is Vicki Snyder. I put your website up. It's Vicki Snyder, SNYDER.com. And you can find Vicki on Facebook at Vicki.s.smith. And we're friends.
yeah.
Got friends with Vicki. When I look at it, it's Vicki Snyder Young. So you could look for you under Vicki Snyder Young, and you'll find her.
Yeah.
What do you offer people if they were to connect with you? What are the different things?
Oh yeah, I do in person, but I also do remotely. So I do, psychic mediumship, pet communication, a lot of shamanic healing. I kind of I work intuitively. So my energy sessions are all depends on what the person needs and what I'm being told by the guides. So I do have, again, Reiki, integrated energy therapy. So I can use any of those tools and others, so and I know people wonder how you can do that at a distance, and it is just as powerful distance as it is in person.
I agree. Yeah. Now you did a little bit. Are you still doing the regression, the hypnosis?
Yes. Yep.
We talked to. I said, "Is that past life? Is that past life work that you do with people?"
um I know that's what people assume, but you can do so much with that. So
Thank
you
you.
can do the Akashic records. You can use that to connect to, people who've passed, your spirit guides. There's so many directions that you can really go with that for healing. I've done them. People have, and it just kind of happens that they meet with, an ancestor and there's healing. So it can be used for healing, um, energy healing. But really, I know a lot of people, most people, it seems like are really believing in past lives, or they're just not sure
Right.
nowadays. I never, very rarely hear someone say, no, I don't believe in it. There's, if anything, they'll say, I'm not sure, you know, and, I didn't believe in it, because I was raised Catholic. I didn't, you die, that's it, you go to heaven. And, through all my training and working with people, I've realized, because it's, past life trauma comes into this life. I've done shamanic work and, removed, stuck energy and things from people. And then when I tell them, like, I did this and this at this in this part of your body, and they're like, oh my God, I've had a pain there my whole life. And then they'll come back and say, oh, it's gone. So it really does work.
Oh,
It's amazing. But we do, and the emotional trauma too. So I do a lot with emotional work, and, so many emotional traumas that people can't, or have issues in this lifetime that they don't know where it comes from, and they do so many things and they can't heal it, until we do some past life healing through shamanism, really, or regression. But yeah, it is, a lot of past life stuff.
yeah. I've been noticing how past lives can your soul wants to work on the issue from a past life. So you'll have similar trauma, similar wounding, maybe not as big in this lifetime. That's reminiscent to the past.
Yes.
So if you could
Yeah.
resolve on this lifetime and the past life, you're good to go in a sort of way. But
This kind of ties into shamanism. The whole belief too is going around the wheel is that you want to be able to die consciously. So you want to die with dealing with all that stuff so that you can go on and not have go into your next life bringing forth issues from this life. So that's a big premise too of it. So,
absolutely huge. Yeah.
and you figure if people die tragically or unconsciously in a life, and then where does that soul go? It's just out there, and then it comes into a life. Well, it was never healed or cleared, so a lot of that stuff can come forth into the new life.
And I want to ask you a question because, and something that I think about a lot, and I think I know the answer, but when we heal or when we deal with something, I feel like it's how can I say it? No, you have to deal with it yourself. Somebody can't do it for you. And I sometimes I'll take somebody through a past life and I'll tell them whether this and that, and they want to be told. I said, no, you need the experience of it. It would be really
Mhm.
more helpful to you to have that experience and to have that opportunity to make choices or whatever it is. I'm trying to kind of grasp on what I want to say, but do you know what I'm saying? It's like you need to do the work yourself. Somebody can't do it for you.
Right. So how I see that is like energetically, I can go in and clear something,
Right.
but you have to clear the mindset or the pattern. So
Yeah.
that's one technique is an illumination. It's clearing those patterns from your life. So that you can, because and also dealing with generational bondage or trauma, that things can be passed down from generation to generation.
Mm.
So I feel like, everything's a conversation, and I as a healer can't force you to do the healing, to do it. Yeah, I can do it, but if you're not going to do the homework, the follow through, like you said, things can come back.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Those patterns, those mindsets.
Because it within yourself, it needs to be resolved within
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
soul with more awareness of self.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's why they call it healing work. Work.
yeah.
It's beautiful. It's very beautiful. So, what's the best way to raise your vibration?
Oh, best way. Um, I feel a great way, for me, it's music, if you, or singing or dancing, movement, that really raises your vibration. A lot of people tell you eating well. I'm not so much into that. I like my junk food and all of that. So, but but it can, it depends on your system, I feel. Um, I feel being of service raises my vibration, because it makes me feel good to give to others. So, um, when someone comes to my office and we have such a great reading and they've had such a great healing from the reading, that raises my vibration. People ask, are you drained? No, I'm not. I'm rejuvenated because it was such a great experience.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I was thinking for me, raising my vibration, if I can rest, get a good night's sleep is what, but
That's
also
good.
laughing can,
Yes, yes.
I don't get enough laughing. I was like, I try to find funny things on TV if I can, if I'm alone, but laughing. And then people talk a lot about gratitude practices, being great.
Hmm.
And,
Definitely, definitely.
and that can be, a tricky thing because you feel like, I don't feel grateful for anything. And then you say,
Yeah.
well, you got to go back down to are you breathing? Or do you have water, clean water to drink? Do you have,
Yes.
I,
Just so, yes. Yeah, exactly. Um, there's always someone that has it worse than you, so, and
mm,
that's that kind of getting out of those stories too. So this
yep.
time when we went around the wheel, we focused every class on setting our own personal attention and something we were grateful for. And it does make a big difference. It's a great practice.
Oh,
Even
what?
setting an intention for the day, whether it doesn't have to be anything crazy, just those little things, little
Yeah. Yeah.
intentions.
What's a little
Hey, I'm
intense?
going to be open to,
Yeah.
I'm going to, my boss who's very nasty, I'm not going to let him bother me. I'm going to take a few deep breaths. I'm going to walk away. That's an intention. I'm going to handle him differently. So just a little bit, of that. It's kind of having more of a proactive mindset, um, of any situations that might come up, or something you want to do, or
I like to sit down and think about what makes me happy. Because it all starts with self-love, and I feel like
Mhm.
I want to make what makes me happy, and let's get a list together here, and I'll try to do one thing. I'm down, or
That's great. Yeah.
where's my list of happy things? Or some people say, well, sit down and have a cup of tea now. I like the English where they say, well, maybe it's time to have a cup of tea. I think it is. Whatever that taking care self-care can raise your vibration.
Oh, totally. Yes.
Mhm.
Especially if you have a very busy life and very demanding, and you're just totally drained, definitely your vibration's going to be lower, so um,
Absolutely.
that
And
self-care,
and that's a spiritual practice right there.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Um, I also, if somebody gets mad at me, I'm not going to get mad at them back.
Yeah.
I think, okay, I know you're upset, and I'll listen to them, and not match their anger with
Right.
tell you about I'll just like, hey, we're working on this. We're gonna,
That's not about you, it's about them. So
yeah,
that makes me think of the oh geez, lost it. I was looking to see if I had the book around. um Totally can't remember what I was gonna that book with the just those simple rules. Don't take anything personal. Do you know which one I mean?
kindergarten. No, Don Miguel Ruiz, the Fifth Agreement,
Yes.
or the
Yes.
Four
The
Agreements.
four agreements. Yes.
Yeah.
That starting off, that was like a Bible for me, It's just don't take anything personal. It's not about me. You're angry. It's about you, and learning to um, redirect. If someone was angry, well, I know I see you're upset. I know it's not me, but it's you, and what do you need to say? Redirecting, because it is. But those four agreements can be a lifesaver. Great practices, very simple to follow,
Like the
lifesaver.
yeah. There's one that's I really like is the I will do the best I can to the best of my
Yes.
in the
Yes.
moment. It's like
Yeah.
totally taking you off of the hook
Yeah.
of doing the best that you can last year.
Yeah.
Right now,
Right. Yeah.
right here in this moment,
Yes.
perfect, but you're at your very best of where you are. And,
Yeah.
and that be enough is so
Yeah.
self-loving. I love that. Because I can run myself into the ground with
Yeah.
expectation. And then I
Yeah.
find that's my vibration drops with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I get cranky. And then everybody
Right.
has to pay for it. But
Uh,
but just being, I think, aware of yourself and how you're caring for yourself, where your thoughts are going, keeping your thoughts clean and impeccable. If your thoughts taking you down that pathway you're gonna go down that rabbit hole, that ditch that little animal was in a little we talked about. Um,
yes.
your responsibility to keep yourself out of
Yeah.
that. And that's actually, I feel, a very important spiritual practice. Um,
Definitely. Yep.
Arcadian Metatron is all about that practice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go, what are you thinking about? And what were you thinking about when you got here? What was your
Yep.
intention? Forgot my intention. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Journaling too is really good, I find, you know, to help you get out of a funk,
absolutely.
and to get in tune with yourself.
You
There's
know,
so many, so it is, if one doesn't work for you, try another, don't just move on to the next, because there's so many different practices,
so
and if you have trouble with intention, or gratitude, even just there's so many what do you call those? Like sentences that you fill in the ending for journaling. I can't think of what they call those.
anything like no, is that right? Affirmation.
No, if you don't know what to like write about, or journal prompts, they're prompts. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So,
Yeah,
there's so many suggestions on the internet, that you can just look for, and that can help, if you can't, you're in that state where you just can't think, but you can search journal prompts, and there's so many, and just
Oh,
start writing.
a lot of that. That's a great idea.
I think so many, we hold so many emotions in, and when we do that, it causes physical disease, so we need to get those emotions out. And if we don't, and in a way that's not like yelling at people or cutting people off, and I keep saying that, so I wonder what's going on with the driving, but or being rude to people in the grocery store, whatnot, I think we're feeling bad and we take it out on a lot of people. So just getting to that point where you could acknowledge that and not, and go a different way,
Right. I remember, gosh, back in COVID days, I had to say it.
Ah,
I went to the grocery store and I was like, that was like such a happy day. People I might not talk to, but I was like, oh, it
yes,
was
yeah,
it's a relief to be part of the community. And as human beings, we need to be part of the community. And so when we isolate ourselves by feeling, when we feel bad, that's not doing ourselves any service.
no,
But
no.
have this prayer that you put it was on your website, that you are a practitioner or you were trained in the prayer of Ho'oponopono.
Oh, geez.
And
Yeah,
love that prayer. You could just say that
yeah,
time and that could be the only thing that you do, but it's a beautiful.
exactly. And right now I can't even think of it. Isn't that horrible?
There's something about
Oh my,
I'm sorry, forgive
I'm
me, I
sorry,
love
please
you,
forgive me.
thank
I
you.
love you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
It's like, phew, gone.
I know.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
But
That really is a powerful practice. It really is. Just repeating it over and over, and it can put you into that meditative state as well. It
yeah,
changes your endorphins and your
which is
energy.
amazing to me that it does that, because it's only words and it's like,
Yeah, words are power.
yeah. So why do you think what happens with that prayer, that saying those words? Can you remember what that
It
means?
it just it changes your vibration. Um, there was a whole thing where you drank water, you said the prayers, and you sat with it, just kind of like you would do a Reiki meditation on the principles. Um,
Right.
it just kind of comes and changes your vibration. It was very powerful. And I would do it during the healing too, for people.
Is there
I
a
actually have like I have a music where it's in the background that often I'll play too. So it kind of um you can't hear it really, but it's lifting your vibration.
yeah, I think Joe Vitale
Yeah, yeah,
did Honopono.
yeah. I did that class and stuff a while ago. Um Great practice. I can't remember the man's name that really founded it. He worked in he was Asian. He did that. He worked in a mental hospital, and um and used that and found that it really mental health clients were getting better.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So just try that. I posted it. I think if you Google it's Honopono, for those who are listening, it's HO with a at comma or whatever at the top. And then Ponopono. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you find that. Um
Yeah.
not an asterisk. I don't know. I guess
I,
it's
I can't think of what it's called
anyway.
either. I don't know about you, but doing like the readings and the journeying, my memory is gone. Because
Yeah.
a lot, I'm not in the physical world. I'm in so many different dimensions. A lot that
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
doing great. You're doing great. All these different, but as you can see, a spiritual path is very varied for many people, and
Mhm.
finding your way that brings you back to yourself, to your spirit self, to knowing that you're not alone is simply the spiritual practice, knowing that the world is bigger than you, but you're loved and you're an important part of the world. Any practice that brings you back to that is a
Just
spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
And being honest and having humility, all that stuff.
Passion.
Passion. Oh my God, yeah, passion.
Not taking yourself so seriously.
Oh
That's
yeah.
a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, chilling out. Don't take yourself seriously, but be the best that you can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Do your
And
best. That's, I think, one of the 4 agreements.
right. And I also feel
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that is one of the 4 agreements. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then laugh.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Cuddle your doggies.
blue dogs, cats, and pillows, whatever you have.
Yeah.
And don't have to go down a road if somebody wants you to go there and it's not your road. You can say no. Yeah, you know,
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
and just breathing, taking a moment before you dive into the next thing and just breathe 10 breaths.
Mm-hmm.
And let yourself come back to yourself. Do you ever do that? You work,
Right.
you're really putting it out there, and then you're like, oh, what's the next thing? And you're like, wait a minute, I gotta find me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's with shamanism, what a great practice I'd like to really share it real quick. And it is kind of bringing yourself to center, and it is just kind of closing your eyes and getting still, taking some breaths, but then you're scanning. This is what I've learned. You scan yourself. So first, how are you feeling physically? Is there tension here? Well, just breathe it out. Let it go. And then you go on, and then how am I feeling emotionally? What's coming up emotionally? And then you just release that with a breath, blowing it out, whatever that is. Thinking, what am I thinking? Just taking those minutes to scan what you're thinking, what thoughts are coming up, and just releasing those with your breath. Breath is so important to let it go, blow it out. And then it is spirit. So what is my soul? What is my soul saying to me? Or what is my spirit and feeling or experiencing right now? And then you release that. And these, take a few minutes or a minute, however long you need to do that scanning and releasing. And then the last one is just kind of scanning your whole energy field. What is my energy? Do I feel fluid? Do I feel blocks? Is something not flowing? And maybe you're not feeling anything. That's fine, because not everyone's going to maybe feel their energy, but do I feel tired? Whatnot, and just releasing that with your breath too. So that's a great way to just kind of go through all those systems and release and to get present. Great shamanic practice I learned from my teacher this last year, and now I share that a lot with my clients, because it's quick and easy, and it brings you to center, and it helps you to just let go of those things that are distracting.
absolutely. I love that. I'm going to give that a
Yeah,
shot. Yeah. Those times
it's pretty simple. Yeah.
yeah. Beautiful. I love that. So I just want to say, reach out to Vicki Snyder at VickieSnyder.com. That's the best way to find her. She's on Angels. No, I just keep on talking about. She's on Facebook. Just look for Vicki Snyder -Young, and you'll find her. And everyone I bring on to these shows have tools that can help you find your soul path, find your soul way, whether it's healing or exploring something new about yourself. I really welcome everyone to step in there. And Vicki is amazing. Really excited to have her here. You can always reach me at angelscapes.net. And if you want to check in a little bit more about what I do and the soul power intensives that I have, you can go on my website and book a session that's free, a free discovery session. And I think if you want to talk to Vicki, just get on her website and contact her and ask her questions.
Definitely.
And she'll make herself available. So I really appreciate everyone doing the best you can to live the best life possible, because that's what makes this world an amazing place. And remembering that we are spirits having a human journey is really, really helpful. So any
Thank you
last
so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's
Yeah,
my
and I just want to say that no matter what, because I know we're right near Christmas and the holidays can be hard for people. They're alone. Maybe this is the first year without loved ones. Whatever you're dealing with, just know that you are loved and you're never alone. You know, if you've lost people that aren't here, they will be at your table, they will be at your house, they will be there for you. Just talk to them. I got that tickle in my throat, and it's like, okay, spirit's coming. Someone wanted to speak, so definitely they'll be there. So just talk to them, and the more you talk to them, you build that connection with them, and they'll show you their signs that they're around.
Beautiful. Thank you. And if you're alone because of, say, divorce or a family estrangement, you're not alone. Your guides are with you, spirit is with you, and just ask for signs. And sometimes somebody will show up in your life that you least expected it, and you realize, oh my God, they're part of my family. So be flexible, be open, and let the universe bring you what you need, no matter what your situation is. But
you deserve it. You deserve it. The universe wants you to be happy. It doesn't want you to suffer. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, we're not here to suffer.
The suffering is a human condition that we do to ourselves.
Thanks for saying that. That's important to hear.
So we choose. There's pain and then there's suffering. So we can have the pain, but we choose if we have the suffering. So that's, I feel, such a powerful statement right there. Pain is pain, but the suffering is what makes it so unbearable sometimes.
Well, thank you for that.
But that's a choice. It's a choice how we respond to the pain.
Okay. Well, that was worth a ticket in, right? Just that right. Thanks. Oh, Vicki, I hope we could come back again sometime.
Definitely. I'd love to. Thank you.
Thanks. And we'll be, so everyone, God bless, stay strong, keep up with your soul connection practices, and let the world become your oyster.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.